All right, everybody, away we go. It is the TRC sales training call, and today is Friday, October 13th. Friday the 13th, who knew, of 2017. And I'm excited to get right after this. We have had some awesome calls here, all about inside sales especially. So I want to make sure that as the outside sales agents come on here today, we talk a lot about the unique selling proposition that I believe you should all have at your fingertips, especially when you're part of this group. But what I'd like to do is go straight to David on my team, as I've been training David live, who's new to real estate, not the hospitality industry, and new to the Griffin Realty Group. I think it's been good for you all to see the challenges that we face. And very transparently speaking, we talk very much about his challenge with English as a second language, being from the Philippines and still living there, and then not knowing the geography. And this guy's being effective already inside of 60 days. And I keep telling you, follow the yellow brick road and the rest will follow. Meaning what? Meaning if you just understand the outcome of the sales event that you're involved in other words, if it's an inside sale, what's the outcome that you're trying to get to? And it's not always a successful sale, but it is an outcome that's clear, definable, measurable, and really in some cases outstanding in a short period of time. And I'm going to go right at it with him as I open up the microphone so that you can hear this. David, also on Skype, if you could, I know you emailed me that yesterday. If I don't have it, resend me so they can all hear it, what a successful call sounded like, where you were able to book me the first in-home presentation. And he's only been 60 days in the industry, 30 of which was a disaster for him because I was totally inundated and Laura was out on maternity leave. So I'm going to tell you, this guy's been effective in 30 days. And I want you to hear it live. I want you to hear the challenges and what a good one sounds like, because over the past couple of weeks, we've been happy to show some of the tough ones. And David, if you have a tougher one today, we'll hit that as well. But I want to talk about the good stuff when it happens and they follow the yellow brick road. Now, remember, when I open up the microphone, *6. All you have to do is *6 on your phone. It mutes your microphone. So if you have a loud background noise, whatever it might be, it won't interfere with the call. However, I don't like that. Try to be in a quiet spot when these calls happen because I want you to participate. Also, if you are joining us as a member of a team, please step to the front of the line. If you hide, that's no good for you. You don't get better that way. You step up. You tell me your challenges. I'm not going to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm going to help you. Okay? So here we go. David, you there, buddy? Remember, *6 me. *6 if I'm on a loud mic. Hold on. Hold on. *6. I got somebody in a car phone. I got a hot mic in Arizona. Who's ever in Arizona? I got a car phone probably. Just turn me down. Okay. I had to do it. Sorry. Who's ever in Arizona, that mic is super hot. So I also, Bridget, yours is a little bit echoey too, and maybe Angela. Okay? Let's check those mics.
Jamie, you're breaking up.
Am I breaking up?
Okay, we can hear you now. It was really like echoey. And
well, yeah, because I've got a couple tough lines here, Laura. Thank you. I just want to hit it. I'm glad to know that you're here too, which is good. Because are you and David both here? David, you here? Okay.
I'm over here.
Awesome. All right. So, David, did you send me again that call that we had from yesterday?
Yeah, it's on the way now via email.
Okay.
It should be there.
Oh, actually, I have it on Skype. Here's what I'm going to do. I want you all to lean in, and I want you to listen to this, because this is David making a call to an internet buyer lead, and he catches her on the fly, and I'm going to just have you listen in. And again, I think the gal was a little bit easier, so it's really not that difficult. Now, David, I forget, was it, when you sent it to me the other day, Mary Jane, number 1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is that the one I'm looking for? Let me see if this is right. All right, let's...
Yeah, number 1 would be the first call.
All right, let's listen. Let's listen. All right, everybody listen in on this one. If you have a loud mic, mute it. See if
Hello?
Hi, good afternoon, Mary Jane.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hi, Mary Jane. My name is David from the Griffin Realty Group. And the reason I'm calling you right now is, well, first of all, to thank you for using our website, thegriffin.co. And second, I just wanted to check on your home search and, to see if you're getting everything that you're looking for online.
Right now I'm driving. This is a little difficult.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be glad to call back later if it's a better time for you.
Yeah, I'm finding that the house search is it's very difficult. There's like nothing. The houses are awful, basically.
Okay.
And I find that pretty discouraging. You know, have a very the house that we have is fine. It's a little small, and unfortunately, the neighborhood is a little mixed. We're very near Lake Pocket, but we have some really messy neighbors, and
I understand. I'm guessing you're trying to grow a family there?
No, we're retired, and we do
retired.
though.
Okay.
Yes, we do in the summer have a lot of company, and so it's becoming. And I have children. It's becoming a bit crowded. It's a ranch, but it's a very nice house, and I'm a little upset to hear that maybe it's not even worth what we paid for it. And so I don't know. I'm not totally on board that I want to sell it. So, but if it found something appropriate, then I certainly might consider.
Let me do two things for you. I'm not sure if the home that you have right now is somewhere where we operate in. If you could give me the exact address, that would be great. But what I can do for you is to send you two things. One would be a home seller's guide, which is what we've been using. You know, it's a very clear and strategic approach that has been proven, you know, for years now. And it's free, don't worry. I want you to have it and use it if ever you do consider selling your home, because that can guarantee you top dollar on your home. Okay. The second thing I can do for you, and again, this is a free service from us, is to give you some home recommendations. I know it's very difficult right now. There are a lot of options in the market. So what I can do for you is, you know, if I could get your preferences, I can streamline that search for you basing on, you know, whatever requirements you have in the home, whatever budget, whatever location preference, and I can give you the best stuff that we have. Does it sound good for you?
Yes. I already have been working with a broker. I don't know if I have indicated where, but she really hasn't come up with anything. So I don't know. I don't know quite how that works. If I'm already working with someone, then maybe I should.
Yeah, no, don't worry. The guy that we're gonna send to you is not, you know, an exclusive thing. It's not going to obligate you to anything. So yeah, I'd like you to use it. And you know, you can actually give it to your agent if you want.
I have not signed
worry.
anything with her. Okay.
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 Just I'll shoot an email later on, and then if you'd let me know what your preferences are, so we could, you know, really streamline your search. At the same time, we'll send you something in the mail. Again, it's free and no obligations, and I'm sure that you or your agent, you know, if you decide to sign up with them or not, you will find it useful. All right?
Okay. Very good.
So yeah, I don't want to keep you any longer. You're driving. Please drive safe, and have a great day now, Mary Jane.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right, David, now you go and we had the training privately in the Griffin Realty group the other day. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back and critique yourself again, where you were able to, again, for all of you that joined late, we just played a live call that David had this week. And I want you to hear what it's really like. And he's given me a bad call, or one that he thinks. I'll play that next. But I want to first take this. This was the first call that happened. And so he gets a good vibe. It's an internet-based lead looking. Turns out she has a house to sell. He's trying to find out where, because we really don't know anything other than she's looking. So he tries to find out where. So I'm going to leave it at that. David, you go back and critique yourself now. You tell me what you hear the third time that we've gone over this. What do you hear?
Okay, well, I guess it could have been done smoother now that I've gone through it a couple of times. Yes, at least I was able to establish the rapport that was needed, and, you know, it's definitely something we can turn into a prospect, or at least a nurture. But moving forward, you know, there were some beats that I missed, like, for example, establishing her timing, which, of course, would be crucial for our profession. But moving forward, yeah, I think, you know, through experience, this would definitely be a better call.
Okay, so be specific. Hold on. Be specific, because you were going there. If you could have it back again. By the way, it's a successful call because we'll tell them what happened next, right? And again, you're only 60 days into the industry, and working with me, really only 30 days, because like I said, I was basically non-existent for your first 30, and Laura was out on maternity leave. So let's just say this is effectiveness inside of 30 days. Because of what we studied on these calls previously. And I want everybody to see this, because people don't understand that by being simple in a conversation and looking for an outcome. Now, what I would say is the outcome wasn't really clear. So critique yourself based on that. Knowing, and let's segue into it. After this happened, you communicated with me and I told you to do what?
You told me to see if the house that she was selling is somewhere where we could operate it, and if we could get John, in on that home.
Yeah, because for some reason, you had the terms South Boston somewhere. And South Boston is an area in Boston that we cover with John. So how did you know that? How did you know that information?
Well, it was something that she mentioned to me somewhere through the call.
Okay, so somewhere
something I thought I heard.
Yeah. Okay, and it.
Yeah, they have a house in Norton.
She has a house in Norton, which is not anywhere near South Boston, right? So here we go. And again, I want to be transparent. That's Laura, by the way, talking, because this is the three of us trying to refine our systematic approach. So as David in the Philippines begins to learn these areas, he's referring to Southern Boston, which doesn't really exist. It's South Boston. It's the South End. So those are a couple of things that we talked about. Norton is not a town in an area that we cover. So she has a place in Norton. However, this still becomes successful because what do you do next after you pick up the phone and you go back and tell them, I'm not going to play that one too, but you go back and do what next? What do you do?
Okay. Well, what I decided to do next, actually what you told me to do next is really check in the home. So I was very straightforward. I asked her, okay, what's the exact address? And then she just opens up, it's actually in Cape Cod. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're in Cape Cod. And she goes, in Centerville. I'm actually on my way now there. I'm driving there. And then I saw the opportunity. Well, Danny is just in Osterville. He can actually meet you at their place if you're free. 2 o'clock, good for you. And, she just goes, yeah.
Perfect. So
it was more of, seeing the opportunity and grabbing it.
Right. So going back to the first call, so that we didn't have to do 2 calls, the key would have been to figure out a little bit more about the geography. You did an excellent job telling her about the free course that was coming her way that could help her sell for top dollar because she's upset. Well, let's go back and ask you a simple question. What are her pain points? Because she was very transparent with those pain points. So what were they?
Well, she had a home to sell, that they acquired for a certain price, but she didn't feel that she was getting the same price that she got the home for.
Hey, guys. Hey, Paul, you've got a live mic there. Go ahead. Keep going.
Did you get my email about
hang on. Paul? Hey, Paul? Hang on one second. Let me find my control here. Hang on. Yeah, thanks, Paul. Thank you. Okay, keep going. Keep going. This is good. I want to hear more. Keep going. So
I don't know what chemical. I was going to get more detail
Hang on one second.
How much it was, she needs to wash.
Okay, there we go. Go ahead. So the pain point was what?
Okay. She was not getting what she got the home for.
Yes, thank you.
She wanted to sell.
Thank you. Well, it's not. Hold on. Don't go too fast. She wasn't on the market though.
Okay.
She's hearing from somebody. So you have to listen to that call a couple times to listen for these pain points because it matters. She's hearing from somebody else that it's not worth what she paid. Bingo. Okay? There's an opportunity there. Now, what you did do is you were courteous and she said, I'm working with another realtor. And then all of a sudden she backpedals on it and says, but not really. I'm not really with somebody. Right? I haven't signed. So in other words, I'm open to another opinion because I don't like what I heard the first time. That's a pain point. Okay? It's painful to hear I overpaid for something and I want to move. I've got a double whammy I've got to deal with. So now I've got to go back and potentially be the solution to the pain. Now, I might agitate the pain a little bit more to dig up underneath it to really identify it. I know that sounds strange, but so hold on. You're telling me somebody told you that it wasn't worth what you paid? Is that right? That's agitating the pain, right? So you're highlighting her pain point. What's her other pain point? Because she gave you two of them graphically, very graphically. What's the other one?
The other one was that the home search was difficult. There were a lot of homes in the market, and that she did not like them.
They were terrible. She was even more so. Is a bigger pain point than that. They're terrible, right? So she has these really two big pain points that we have an opportunity to begin to provide the solution for, right? So as you're leaning in on those two pain points, you see the problem was scripting and even knowing that I need an outcome. You got excited that the conversation was going well. You wanted to let her know the information was coming, but you could have potentially dug in a little bit deeper. Now, you ended up subsequently, so you're going back and you're saying, hey, look, these pain points are something Danny could help with. Tell me, number one, where's the house you have to sell? Because even if it's not an area we cover, we could potentially do what? Do you know what we could do?
We could send the home and seller's guide.
We could refer it, right? And get a referral fee. And we could evaluate it because we have access to all the MLS in Greater Boston, in Massachusetts, so we could do that too. If we did that for her in Norton just to win some chance to get her buy side down here, that's a value add. So I'm beginning now to say, look, I can help. I can perhaps begin to provide a solution for your couple of pain points, right? Number one is, look, there's always new homes that come on. Perhaps we just need to know a little bit more about your criteria. So your upsell of service is what I've been saying on this call week after week after week, and I want everybody to hear me say this. The more we know about their problem, the easier it is to articulate the next level of the solution. So see, a lot of these people, and in particular this gal, comes in through one of our websites, which probably has some information about specific areas. But what has the best, what software do we use that has the most criteria that we can input? Which one?
MLS.
Thank you. So all we have to do is think simply. Look, you came in on one of our websites, which is a good one, but it sounds like you're really having a difficult time finding this, and that takes a little bit more of a proactive approach, but I think we could also benefit you by putting you right in the source, and the source is the multiple listing system. In other words, if we put you into our private portal and we could take down more criteria, it's easier to do in there. Let's see if that helps, right? It's an upsell. Don't leave them here. Don't be an also ran, as they say in the English language, meaning don't be like everybody else and just let it happen reactively. Be proactive, take down some criteria, and put them into the MLS as an upsell. I'm not saying that it's going to be better than Zillow, faster than Zillow. It might be, though. And more importantly, what you're moving into is you and Laura's ability to dig in deeper and actually do proactive searches and go one step further. Also, which I did at the appointment, we'll tell them about that next, also go into more information to say, look, while you were looking, we think you've got a double challenge here. Number one, you're worried about selling your property. You don't know what to do and what not to do to get top dollar. That's on its way. We're going to send you that course. That'll help. And then Danny will follow up with a phone call or an in-home visit to go over it with you. You got me the in-home visit. Because lightning struck, she was on her way down, her husband was already there, and they were ready and willing to meet because they needed what? A better solution to their pain points than they were experiencing. So the opportunity was there, and you closed for it, and we got in. What I did, because it was such short notice, I rushed and grabbed a list of sold properties. Remember what I said to you? What did I say? Look in what software and see what she's looking at what. Tell them what I said.
Okay, so you told me to go to LS, and we basically got the recent sold homes in her area.
Well, that's for the CMA. Okay, that was for the CMA. So you got Serena, to do quickly the CMA with technical analysis. That was the whole sell side. On the buy side, do you know what I did? Maybe I didn't even tell you what I did.
I'm not sure.
I dealt with her pain, and I went and I printed out everything in the town of Barnstable in the price range she was looking, and I cheated towards the higher end so that she could see if she just simply moves up, she's going to get a better home and a better location. So I printed out everything in the last couple of months that had sold from about 400 to 600, which is the range she was looking at. And I printed it out in a magazine format so she could see the main picture, the sold price, and some of the details. So when I walk in, I am prepared to deal with what? Both pain points. One is there's a way to get top dollar, and it's called a strategy, and here it is. And I'm going to come over and I'm going to give you the tips to do and not to do. We talked all about replacing kitchen cabinets, getting the septic system in line, painting the walls gray. All those things we discussed to prepare her to move up the price line with condition. That's why I was there so long. Then, on the other side of it, I said, oh, by the way, your other pain point is you're not seeing properties that you think are good. But let me tell you something about asking prices. They can be deceiving. So instead, what I did was I looked at the criteria you put into our software, and I brought you a list of houses and what they actually sold for so you can begin to see what your money can buy. Now, Laura, following up on this, your job there, which I forgot to tell you today, your job there is to do a net sheet for her based on a range somewhere from 400 to what she paid 370, right? So that now we start to say, hey, I know Danny told you might be able to sneak into the fours. However, here's a conservative analysis of what you would walk away with. Now we've hit both pain points with information, insight for free. And they wanted, at first, he didn't even want to sit down and talk about it until he heard me talking to her intelligently and insightfully, got up, walked over, sat down, and engaged me. And he's a real sharp guy, an engineer. And we got into all these questions. And in the house, I was resourceful. He said, gee, you know what? I have a crack. I'm an engineer. I didn't tell you that. But I've got a crack in my tank. Does the town of Barnstable let you seal it? I don't know. Let me find out. So I got right on my phone, reached out to my septic guy and said, can you do this? And I got the yes while I was sitting there. So you're demonstrating this resourcefulness to give them insight. And when I got up off that table, all within 24 hours, we had given them more insightful information than our competition, by far. So now we have a foothold where potentially we can get in there and get the business, right? Questions about that?
Well,
I have a question.
I'm good, actually.
Go ahead. Was that you, Laura? Who was asking the question?
Yeah. David, did she end up ever giving you specifics about what she's looking for?
She hasn't. I sent her an email asking exactly that one, but yeah, I haven't gotten the response from her yet.
Okay, so all of you see, I want to, hold on, Laura, 1 second. I want to give them all context. As our business expands, Laura was doing all the work from lead, where we don't know anything about timing, to prospect, where we do, to client maintenance, okay? As time's gone on, we've grown, and Laura's job has shifted more towards the client and very right now prospect stuff, or prospect deeper stuff because she has to go more local. David has the opportunity to come in now and do our lead to prospect. So the thing that we're working on live in front of you is a sales pipeline build out. So if you're a team member working on this, you have to do all of these sections, right? If you're a team owner and you have an ISA on this call, you need to coordinate these two things, right? I actually now have 3 people doing the job. So you could be a single person, 2 people, or 3 like us, right? I'm heavily client, Laura's client and prospect, David's long-term prospect and lead. Okay, I want to make that very clear. Now, Laura and I discussed, the reason I want to interrupt there, Laura and I discussed today what parts of our systematic approach David is not aware are critical to us because he subsequently goes and closes for the appointment. What did he not do? Not because we've told him and he forgot, but because he didn't know yet, Laura. What's missing here? Because you mentioned one of them.
Yep, the seller qualifying sheet we talked about earlier, which I mentioned to David, and then, finding out what they are looking for in a home, more specifically, because I need to find that out so I can set them properly on Flex MLS, or I can find out either one. As
Right. But to not lose the momentum of the great insightful moment that we were able to share with them and to capitalize on swift action. That gap is everything. Same thing with an open house for all you outside sales agents, because Patrick was on the call yesterday and he was asking me, or I forgot what day, yeah, I think it was yesterday with the campfire. He was asking me about my open house formula. So as Laura's now back in the saddle here, after maternity leave, the next thing is when we go into the weekends and we upsell that same information, all you outside sales agents should be paying attention to this. Yeah. You get the prospect directly in the field. You don't have to go through a lead stage. You're able to directly get prospects and upsell them. Say, look, it looks like you're doing it the hard way. You're out there on Zillow and all these other things. We could actually put you right in the source, which is MLS. And it has a lot more criteria choices that we could check the boxes to make sure you're getting specifically what you want. That'll help you narrow it down. Right? Also, by the way, while you're in the house, I have the infographic for the buy side. Oh, you have a house to sell too? I have both infographics that explain the process. Always be ready, and this is what I wanted to emphasize, always be ready to be moving them up the ladder, but always be prepared to help them understand the benefit of moving up your ladder. Okay? Laura, you want to add to that?
Well, I followed up with this woman later today, and she ended the call with, I look forward to working with you. So I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a real good sign. As long as we put the pressure on and lean in. And I'll guarantee you, when you deal with both, decision makers, he was a tough sell until he heard what? The right, insightful information. Right? Then he leaned in. So you have to be prepared, and any of you can do this. I'm telling you right now, what was really important was the articulation of a strategy and the knowledge of future problems like a septic system, the wrong color paint, dated cabinets. These are all things that you can add your opinion about what they could do to avoid further pain points. See, look, everybody's trying to avoid the pain of the process, right? Everybody. Now, he doesn't really want to move unless he gets exactly what he wants, and he didn't really want much. Soaring ceiling, like he has in his room. She wants closer to the beach. It was really relatively easy to talk about what they wanted from a product standpoint. But if they don't see the process in its entirety, 2 beats. I have pain on thinking that this thing isn't worth what it is, and that's why she was mad, David, at the neighbors. We have some crappy neighbors. So obviously, the other agent told them, you have crappy neighbors, right? And, whoops. Sorry, I got chickens in the background there. Someone had to mute you.
Chickens.
Yeah, I know. Do you hear those chickens? I think it was Marcus. I didn't know Marcus was a farmer. Sorry, Marcus, I had to mute you for a second. I didn't know you were a chicken farmer, too. My man. So, sorry, GVD. Yeah, I know you don't have too many chickens. It's too hot in Arizona, but evidently over in Oakland, they can knock them out, right? So we'll bring Marcus back in to have us hear his chickens again in a second. So the point is that we want to make sure that we hear the pain points. And this is why I really wanted to play this for you. These are real calls. This isn't theoretical. This is really what goes down. And you've heard David train. Now you hear a real live result. Now he gets lucky, quote unquote, to the extent that this woman is at a cathartic moment. Right? So my only critique would have been, and it was yesterday, as soon as she started to vent, don't interrupt her yet. Right? Don't throw word whiskers in. Be comfortable with the silence and be listening for the pain point that you can solve. That's my major point on this call. Once she started to open up, listen for the pain point on the buy side and or the sell side that we can solve. I think that's the best conclusion, right? Cool. All right. Anybody have a comment or a thought about that? I'd love to hear from some team members that are out there. Chris Clubb, I know we probably have your team. We have some team members from Voltaire's team. Any inside sales agents that are listening to that, then this is your opportunity, or outside sales. I have no problem with either because...
Yes, Danny.
Yeah, go ahead. Who's that?
Hey, this is Lisa. How are you?
Lisa, my go-to. I love it. How you doing?
Yes, I ran into a situation this week and did not know what to do, so we thought of let's call you and find out what your suggestion is.
Cool.
So in doing this prospecting, I've finally come up to that same level where I'm hitting the same targets as Paul.
Yep.
And he obviously is calling as well as having assistance. But I ran into a situation where in setting up the appointment, the client said, oh, I already have an appointment set up with Birmingham Realty.
Yep.
And I kind of went, oh, great, and backed off. And then didn't know how to handle that situation. She actually said a wrong person's name, too, which was what really threw me because she didn't say Paul's name.
Sure.
But my question to you, because we're a smaller firm, it's not like we're some conglomerate where we can say, oh, we're from a different office. We are a very tight-knit office. So how would you recommend us handling that if we're calling the same people and already has an appointment set?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. Paul and I talked about this, by the way. He was cognizant of it, and we wanted to understand how to help you and keep his momentum, right? See, the challenge of these small boutique companies like mine, look at the team that I have in place. I have David, Laura, and myself, and we are in attack mode. Now, the good news is I think there's plenty of business in both Birmingham, Michigan, and Cape Cod for all of us to get there, and it's rare that we would stumble into it. But one of the challenges is Paul wants you to know what makes him successful. So the great news, having him as a leader, he's not afraid to be transparent and say, hey, Lisa, you know what? This is exactly what I do. You should do it too. Now, the hazard is you bump into each other on occasion. And so what I said to Paul, my recommendation was this. Who's ever there first with a good appointment, keep it. We don't want to confuse the consumer. That's the most important thing. But in this case, I mean, look, if you flat out beat Paul and his ISA staff to a listing, God bless you. Good for you. That means you're really hustling and doing a good job. That's number one. Paul would just back off of that and you'd roll. If you needed Paul's help, then you could ask for it to go get the listing, right? That'd be one thing. But in this case, there's always that kind of greasy, skidded place where we run into our own active manager, broker, owner, right? So what I suggested to Paul is good for you. You got in there, you got on the phone. So what he should do is allow you to work that listing as if it were one of your own as well. Do your open houses there, garner buyers from it, be able to market it. I just reward you for that effort for doing it. Having said that, I would try to figure out, is there an area where you won't stumble into Paul? Paul's not going to do the entire area, in and around Birmingham, Michigan. So I would say, is there a geography that you could define for yourself? And are there other types of sellers that you could go after? That would be the first thing. So let's go back and summarize. Number one, the first beat is, if you beat him, good for you, girl. That's some hustle. If he beats you, he should reward that behavior that you stumbled upon something like that, which I think is a rare event. But when it does, you should be able to market that listing and help him with it and garner any buyers. You'll need that listing as something to market. I think listings marketing are one of the greatest ways to prospect. Definitely. Right? So I would say that would be the reward. But lastly is more so in helping you. And if you come on the Campfire coaching call in 2 weeks, we can Q&A this a little bit more. You need to follow what I teach the mastermind folks and what I follow myself. And that is defining a geography wherein you can fish and you're up against, whatever other competition and shy away from Paul's strong area. If you want to. I would do both. I would continue to go, head to head in the same pond because sooner or later, the law of averages serve you both very well. Because you think about this. I'll prove it to you, and I'll have Paul prove it to you. He'll go into the Birmingham, Michigan MLS, and he'll show you the percentage of the marketplace that the top producers get and even the top producing companies get. It's very small. It's actually very, very small. I mean, let's assume somebody could even garner 2 or 3% in a decent sized market. That's 98% of the marketplace that they're still not getting to. So there has to be a position of plenty to understand this is a big place. It's just that we should consider how we market and where we telemarket to if we want to diversify. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we're really trying to set the tone because as he's hiring more people and trying to grow the brokerage, we thought that it would be best to have a plan in place before everybody starts stepping on each other's toes. And we do. We have multiple options. I like the geographic specification because then that still leaves us open to expireds or unconditionals or even just brand new listings.
For sure.
But yeah, like I just don't want to be in a situation where we're cutthroat, because then we're going to start to not be open with each other and not be supportive, and it puts the client in an awkward situation.
Yeah, agreed. Well, it doesn't have to put the client in an awkward situation as long as you all understand that when you call, oh, great, you're already talking to us. That's super. Well, we're looking forward to getting out there with you. Awesome. And just get out of the way. There's nothing else to do. You get out of there respectfully, quickly, when it does happen in the future. Having said that, I believe the only solution is those of you that hustle, Lisa, like you, and those won't be all the Birmingham, Michigan, realtors that Paul hires. There'll be a few hustlers, and you'll definitely be one of them. But what you'll want to do is sit with Paul, almost like let's consider it like a Navy SEAL team, that we're going to go in and we're going to attack this area. Why don't you cheat more towards this area? I'll cheat more towards this one, etc. Paul and I actually worked on a mind map early on when we got back together, and we talked about some areas that I thought he should be covering. So now I just think that's a matter of strategic approach. You sit down and you think about it so everybody comes to an agreement where they feel comfortable. So it's the only way to do it. It's the only way to do it, right? If you want to do the same types of pursuit, then it's the only way to do it, is to split it up and not be stumbling over what you all perceive to be one hot hole in Birmingham. It doesn't work like that. There's properties that sell all in and around the city, right?
Yeah.
And Lisa,
we work all of Southeast Michigan, so we don't just focus on Birmingham. I mean, I just got back from a listing appointment that was like 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
So we're kind of all over the map.
Yeah, which I don't like for any of us, for the team leaders, for all of you. I think you all should start with a mistake I made in my career for many years. I didn't sit still and make a managed marketing plan. And the marketing includes this telemarketing, because let me just suffice to say, this business is predicated on the build out of a sales pipeline, which means what? It's based on prospecting. The creation of a prospect means no matter whether that business is referred or it starts off as somebody we don't know, we need to build a database of people we're talking to about selling and buying constantly. It's never ending. New people are coming in. Old people are not making it to the finish line and quitting. All sorts of things happen. So it's a never-ending prospecting business. It starts with being organized about where. Where are you really going to focus your marketing efforts? It doesn't mean that you won't sell a property in Southeast Michigan, but focus mostly on some area of Birmingham. See, there's a difference between where we're willing to go to get paid and where we're willing to go to spend our marketing and telemarketing and prospecting time. There's a difference. So you have to make that geography decision as a sales pipeline builder. You want to be building something here, right? We don't want to be just doing something. If we're doing something, that's where contempt gets bred. Well, I'm competing with this one. Hold on. Let me just say this. Every day we wake up anywhere, we compete with everybody, whether they're at our own company or they're at another. Everybody's competing in the geography. So the better our strategy, you'll see that it's a position of plenty. If we focus on the times we trip over each other, we're missing the whole pie. We're fighting over crumbs when there's a whole chocolate cake sitting right next to us. Make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a good plan to have going forward.
Awesome. And I'll help you guys. We'll do a group meeting about it too, and we'll talk about what the logistics are. But I still am going to tell you, you're going to trip over each other once in a while, get out of the person's way who got there first, and move on. That's all. It happens, right? There would be no difference whether you were doing that up against Paul or somebody else from an XYZ competitor. None. Zero. Right? Here's the good news.
Well, yeah, but if it was another competitor, I would want to still get that listing appointment versus it because it was Paul.
Sure.
I kind of backed off.
Sure, I get it.
And actually, I don't even know it was Paul. It was some other name.
Yeah, I get it.
Eat his lunch.
Yeah. See, here's Marcus. Here's Marcus, the chicken farmer. Come on, buddy. Tell her. Tell her.
Rule of thumb is you want to train your team to get into the database and tag that client mine and keep up on the notes. If there's ever any question, you revert back to the database. Who booked it first? Eat that person's lunch.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. Oh, no.
See, that's where there's another little glitch in it, was that I had actually called and set it up on a Friday and said, we'll be getting in contact with you because he needed to talk to his wife And so on Saturday, it was when, he had Andrew call. So they were already expecting a phone call from Birmingham Realty.
All right, that's
then
interesting.
Appointment.
Yep.
And then I came in.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's live. Yeah. Well, live and learn though too. That like I said to David, it's the same critique I'd have for you. Set a tentative appointment, right? That's what I would do. Set a tentative appointment. Say, great, sounds like you want to confirm with your wife. Would there be a time we could set a tentative appointment? And if he says no, don't push too hard because prospects pursued run away, right? But I would say maybe there was one other level. But let's see what happens going forward, and let's see what our strategic approach does to clean this up a little bit, okay?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No sweat. Good case, though. I'm glad you brought it up, because so did Paul. By the way, Paul cares about you. He brought it up to me. He asked me the same thing already. So, yep. No doubt. He didn't love that it had happened, and it's the reality of growing, and we got to deal with it. But he cares about you. He's invested in you, and so am I.
Yeah.
You're a winner. You're a go-getter. And I like what Marcus said to you. Go get him. Keep your database impeccable. Make sure there are notes in there that you have recognition that you can document your follow-up. Always be able to do that. So if there's ever an in-company dispute about who's pursuing this, you have documentation. You don't want to just leave it tacitly. I think in this industry, Lisa, the reason why brokers are always competing with each other, whether internally, externally, too much, because we're all desperate, because we're not organized. If we'd only get organized, keep our notes, keep organized, eventually, here's what I'm going to tell you happens. On a short notice stuff, like we got the other day, we don't have a long-term follow-up with this gal that we met with, okay? We're opportunistic. It was a cream moment, meaning we could skim the cream for an appointment right there. But she's not going to make an appointment, to list the house tomorrow at all. What we're going to do is now kick into gear our follow-up system, which we think, compared to the competition, is a 12 versus their 1, right? We know that because we've obsessed over it. So all we have to do is what the system tells us to do from here. And here's my point. We are now creating a competition-less business, right? Because if the information is so good that it continues to empower these people, and we are known as the person who empowered them, there is no competition, even if somebody from my own company calls me. Because there's relationship there. It's deeper. So Marcus is right. The more you're following up and the deeper you're going, the deeper the relationship. They're not going to forget your name if you're doing that, right? So I think the money is made in the long-term follow-up. This happens to be one of those skim the cream moments where I think we've got a plan in place to deal with, and week to week we'll deal with it on this call. But I think I'm with Marcus. Just keep hustling and keep your notes going, right?
Different calling systems as well. So even if I put my notes in one calling system, they might not see it on the other one. And so as they bring in more people to the firm, it might be a good idea to just do a daily check-in of so-and-so has these appointments booked, or they're working them at this level, nurturing them to whatever extent, just so that everybody can be aware and not try to step on each other's toes.
Yes, that's what...
What did the database read? Did the client already have notes that somebody was following up and nurturing them on the team?
No, because he made the call from a different database, so there was nothing in that database.
Marcus. Let me give you context. Yeah. Paul uses Vulcan 7, among other things. So there would be a pool. It's sort of like what Lee does too. So there's a big pool of leads that an auto dialer is dialing into with his ISA staff. So they're chipping away, right? So I think he also has a secondary platform for Vulcan where they might be calling the same pool, because Paul's attitude is, let's just go after this all together, like you said. So we're just going to keep going. And you right? And so the law of averages would work itself out?
Yeah, I got that. So we use Mojo, so something similar, and then Commission Zinc's got the auto dialer. But as soon as it's a warm lead, right away after that calling schedule, you take those notes and you move them into the center database that everybody uses, and then tag those notes for who's taking charge of that client.
Is Paul, by the way, hold on, Lisa, is Paul on here?
Yeah.
Hey, Paul.
I don't know. Paul, are you on?
Okay, he was on earlier because I heard his voice. So, but here's what I would tell you. I would tell you this is exactly what I'm working with Paul on. What Marcus said is correct. We have had a very big challenge in this software and digital age at understanding the benefits of having different softwares. We all would love to have one where this all happens. It's not going to happen tomorrow morning because, for example, Vulcan 7, all the leads, those softwares, or those lead services can be combined. Then you have things like Commission Inc., Market Leader, Real Geeks on the buy side. Those can be separate too. I use Infusionsoft for this very reason. Is that when there is substantial follow-up to happen, it is an Infusionsoft and it is impeccably followed up on and the notes are impeccable. And there is no dispute in my company, ever. If somebody is following up with a prospect and they want me to protect them, they are in Infusionsoft and they are being followed up by the system or too bad. Right? Now, that's on the leader to decide what the software is and to make sure that there's a system in there. So the reason I asked if Paul was there, I don't really care what software there is, but Marcus is making that point, and that's why he called it a central software. Ultimately, if we are a prospecting business, calling into a pile of leads or names or contacts is not a prospect. That's the pool from which we will pull prospects. Once they become, and he referred to it as a warm lead, I'll call it a prospect. I think the relationship changes the minute that there's real contact made and there's some determination of timing and motivation, which you did, that changes the disposition to a prospect. And a prospect to me is somebody that we can follow up with and we can really start to, build deeper relationship with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So there you have it. Let's go to the outside side. I do hear Paul, by the way.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Club.
Danny, just a quick question, a little bit off topic.
Sure.
These recorded calls, like the one that David was on,
Yes.
are you disclosing to the person that he's talking to that the call's recorded?
You have so much high C in you. I like it. It just comes out of nowhere, doesn't it? No. They're internal use. Yeah. No, I'm not.
You know where I'm going with that question. I don't have to explain.
No, I don't know where you're going with that. No, I don't know where you're going with that. I don't know where I know what that is. To me, that's procrastination of helping my man do a better job and all of you, right? No, I don't know. Arrest me for recording calls. I have the right to record calls.
10-4.
Yeah, like Chris, to me, I just blow through those things. We're not using this. Their names are not revealed here. You don't know who they are. You don't know who I'm talking about. I'm trying to help this guy service, somebody better. Period. Right? That's it.
On that calling, I have another question about do not calls. What's your standpoint on the do not call list and whether or not you call them?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, because, look, I think, again, I'm not going to play lawyer here, and nor do I have any interest in doing that. My attitude is this. If you have a problem, and I have a solution, I'm calling you. I'm relevant. I'm not calling you. Right. I think the intent of the do not call list is this random prospecting, I don't have any need for you, right? I think that's the intent, is that we don't get well punished. But are you really going to push back on me if you're expired, I'm a realtor, and I want to give you something free that will help you, your realtor, or whatever? Is that really a problem that I called you?
Right. And that makes sense. I just was more concerned about and it's a rare occasion, but when somebody gets really upset and if they find out who you are, I don't have the funding to pay. I know most companies are like, oh, well, if it's a small fine, it's worth it.
Yeah, look, Lisa and Chris. Yeah, stop. Lisa and Chris, stop. If you are worried about that, you'll have to make your own decision. I'm not giving legal advice on this at all. You go read the do not call list, rules and regulations and all that. Here's what I say. Stop me from helping somebody. Try to stop me. My whole life is dedicated to helping people. You want to punch me in the face for trying to help you? Go ahead. I'll smile back. I'll take my fake tooth out. If you want to see what that looks like, go on my Facebook profile. I'll give you a big jack-o'-lantern smile, right? I don't care. I'm here to help people, right? If the world is so dispositioned that we can't help but make rules and regulations to stop each other from helping each other, something's wrong. I've never taught anything on any of my coaching calls ever that wasn't intended to flat out help another human being. If you are bothering somebody and you don't have context, shame on you. But if you are trying to help somebody, stop talking about all that other noise and go help them. If they say thanks, but no thanks, move on. It's a nice, pleasant thing. Now, you will find people that are agitated because people are just angry. As time goes on, there's too much information. The pace of life is too fast. Life is too expensive. I get it. All these things are heightening the pain point. But I'm coming in as a specialist in something that ails you. Somebody died, you have a property to sell. I don't care what you call me. I'm here to help. You don't want the help? Are you sure you don't want the help? No. Are you really sure you don't want the help? Like, we're going to go that far, Lisa and Chris. We're going to go that far. Like, we want to just go that far, and we want to help you. Everything else to me, this is me now, okay? This is me. And it's funny, this is the second time it came up this week because my agents on the Griffin Realty Group, as we were talking there too, all those guys and gals over there, there's a couple of them that, well, I just want to get it right. I'm like, well, get what right? I have errors and omissions insurance, and I hired really good people who aren't trying to scam anybody. That's a pretty good start, right? So do the right thing. Sure, learn the lead laws. They're very particular. Sure, learn agency law in Massachusetts or wherever you are. Yes, learn those things. That's what MLS does a great job at. But what the teaching and coaching in this industry doesn't do a good job at is showing you how to stop making excuses to get through those walls of your own fear and your own procrastination to help people, right? And so I sound aggressive because I am. I think those two questions there are well-founded, but I'm not interested in dealing with them. I'll leave it to you because I blow right through those. I don't know who else said just call them because, again, that's the way I feel. We're calling you to help you. Does that make sense? I know it makes sense. Anybody want to push back? Go ahead, Kerrigan. Yeah, I figured it's my Marine, right?
Look, man, you just rather ask for forgiveness and permission. No one goes to jail the first time they ever break the law, right? So
yeah.
Just,
But I also,
no one's a problem.
But again, I think sometimes, look, I get that the do not call, is perhaps a law to that extent, but it's intent. There's an intent to the law. That's why you have lawyers. That's why you have courts. There's always a little bit of an interpretation of the intent, right? Think about murder. Let's go to the extreme. Was it premeditated, right, or not? So, involuntary, all these things, there's an interpretation. So when you look at the do not call list, I get it. I don't want unwanted calls either. I don't want contextually completely irrelevant calls ever. I get the situation. But if somebody knows that I have a problem and they call me, I'm going to at least listen. And that's why the first 5 to 10 seconds, it is respectful. I know your context. That I'm calling because I know your context. And I have something that can help you. Here it is for free. I don't want it. Too late. I sent it. It's free. I know most people say they don't want it, but it's definitely useful to all of you. Because I am a professional. That's what people are looking for. You heard it on that call that was recorded here today, where that lady is looking for better leadership. I know the other agent that she's talking to. Really sweet gal who should join me and not the company she's at because I teach her what she did wrong. She didn't go in with proper leadership. She didn't grab the bull by the horns and say, wait a minute, let's exhaust everything. After we exhaust every possibility, then maybe it's not going to work out. But until then, you need a bold leader who's going to grab the situation, give you insight, empower you with information. I just told you what happened. Sitting on the couch is her husband, okay? When I first came to the door, he was eating lunch. He looked at me. She goes, she's not here yet. You know what that meant? You go wait in your car for her, not me. I'm eating lunch. I read him. I said, look, looks like you're eating lunch. Go back in there, relax, watch TV. I've got a bunch of phone calls to make. I'll wait till she comes. I respected what I saw. That's respect. Demonstrate respect when you pick up the phone and call somebody from a helping position. If they tell you really to go away, go away. Go away. That's it. That's all somebody wants you to do is listen to them. I told you, go away. I don't want help ever. Awesome. No problem. Things in the mail. I know the realtor's your sister. Maybe it'll help the both of you. If you have any questions about it, let me know. Boom. Get out of Dodge, right?
That's it. That's the mindset, Danny. That's what I'm saying. That's where I operate from. Is that we're not all the same. There is no golden manual that we're all taught how to do this correctly. And
that's
so
right.
It may be the case that I can actually accomplish your goals. So that's it. And if you don't want the help, okay, no problem.
That's
no
right.
problem. I'm here. Maybe your realtor was better. I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah.
And so okay, fine, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, FYI, I do call the do not calls, I'm really apologetic if I do feel like somebody's very angry.
Yeah, well, that's...
But then I get off the phone quickly.
I think that's fine. I think that's real. That's what people want to hear is something real.
That's
they don't
right.
want slick talk, I don't think. They just want a professional who really can help them. And then if they're mad, then okay, no problem. You can be mad.
Well, look.
Information's on its way anyway.
Yeah.
It'll help.
Right. And let's think about the context of our business. If we're smart marketers, telemarketers, salespeople, we've done what I've said we've done. We've given this some thought before we get on the phone. We don't just randomly call people if following some script that somebody told us to memorize. Like Tim just said, you are not real. And like Lisa just sounded, she's real. She's a genuine person. Geez, I'm awfully sorry. I really think I can help you. But if I'm interrupting you and you definitely don't want my help, awesome. No problem. I'll take you off my list. Okay? So I have never had anybody in my entire career yell and scream at me because I called them. They hung up. They went away, whatever the case was. And I moved on because what I was trying to make a point earlier, deal from a position of plenty. I always equate it to this for salespeople. Okay? I'll give you a little anecdote. Imagine that there's a plane flying overhead and you're a nurse or a doctor, okay? Whatever you want to be, you play it in this imaginary game. The plane's flying and all of a sudden it crashes. Okay, good news, nobody dies, but it's a wreck. There's a triage moment, okay? You come running out of your house because it crashed in your backyard. You've got your little first aid kit with you that you know how to use really well as a professional. You're it. And you come over to the first person. Some big burly guy who played college football is sitting there and his leg is snapped in two. And you come over and say, look, I can help you. And the guy says, F you, leave me alone, get away from me. Can't you see I just fell from the sky? Let me ask you a question. Do you keep going to help the rest of the people, or do you start crying, sucking your thumb, running back in your house, and hiding under your bed? You tell me what you do, right? And I'm being dramatic for that effect. I want you to understand, real estate agency is a big deal. This is the single largest financial and emotional transaction people make in a lifetime, and they need leadership. And they need quality leadership. That's why I obsess over helping you week in and week out. If you are giving yourself a narrative that makes you turn tail, the first person that yells at you, you have a real problem. And I'm here tackling paradigms right now. Blow through that and get to the other side. Okay? Go help the person like that lady who you heard today on the phone with David, who was generally exhausted. She was genuinely exhausted. I am so mad these houses stink. My house isn't worth what I think. That's a triage plane crash moment for that lady. And guess what? What happened when I was done? The bleeding had ceased. After David and I had finished with her in 24 hours, we had at least stopped the bleeding with a bandage. The wound is not healed. The problem is not completely solved, but the bleeding is stopped through free information. You've got to be that dramatic in your mind about it, or these gremlins that are asking questions now are going to swallow you whole, and you will stop doing this. You will just find an excuse to stop doing this. Right? Fight through that, otherwise you have a problem. Thoughts about that? Coffee must be good today. I'm really fired up, right? These are good questions. Everybody scared now?
Yeah, I had a similar situation where there was a guy who was very angry about the market and how his house hadn't sold and all this. And he got so angry, I ended up hanging up the phone. And then talking with Paul, he was like, but he was very serious. He was very motivated to want to sell his house.
Yes.
And it made me rethink. I shouldn't have hung up on him.
Yes.
I should have tried to figure out how to stop the bleeding. But I just got so, when somebody starts yelling at a certain point, I just apologize and get off the phone.
Lisa?
But there's
Lisa.
a balance, I think you need to know how to
Yes.
get through.
Lisa, this is why you work for a good guy by the name of Paul Mihalowicz. Because the best advice he said is, and I say this all the time jokingly, if you've ever watched the movie Scarface, which is one of my favorites, okay? It's an oldie, but a classic. When Tony's trying to win Elvira's affection, he's on the dance floor and he's trying to dance around her. He's trying to get her attention, right? And she starts dropping some nasty lines on him. I mean, nasty. She's calling him everything in the book. And you know what Tony says? Now you're talking to me, baby. That I like, right? That's what he says. Once they start talking, let them have that cathartic moment. It is not about us. We are nothing more than the backdrop. And oftentimes, when they run out of breath and they stop talking and that catharsis has taken place, you're there at a void that you can fill with good information. I said this to Laura today. We have several hostile sellers at the moment, okay? And they want to blame us. They're hostile sellers, and they want to blame us. So what do we do about it? We have to get better at how we deal with them. We have to dig in deeper. We have to not be shrinking violets. We have to call for face-to-face. We have to let them air it out. They have to tell us what's wrong with our business. That's okay, because we'll probably learn something about what their perception is, how it works. Maybe they give us a good idea. We don't know. But that's when you lean in. It's an extreme moment. The best realtors in this country can take a punch in the face and keep smiling and then still solve the problem. You want to watch savants work? You pay attention to that guy Mihalowicz, okay? He's bulletproof at this point in time. We're just too long in the tooth in this business. We get it. However, we're human. So even if we're tired, we can crack, we can break, and we can say something stupid. You've got to have emotional IQ at that point in time. You have to listen to them. Unless, I'll give you one, especially you women, I'll give you one for sure. If they are derogatory to you personally, I would grant you hang up, okay? If anybody ever makes it personal, if it crosses the Rubicon, forget it. That's telling you about the quality or lack thereof of that human being. And that's most likely not somebody that you ever want to do business with. We are in a position of plenty. However, until and unless you hear a derogatory statement towards you, hang in there. They will lambaste another agent. They will lambaste all agents. They will lambaste the business. Yes, but they don't know you yet. So your opportunity is to hang in there, fight for that moment, and be their solution. Make sense, Lisa? Lisa, I lose you?
Yes, sorry, I'm unmuting myself.
Okay, all right.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, good work. Dig in deeper. So that's the point here today as we wrap up the sales training call. I don't care whether it's inside sales or outside sales. Have a conversation like Tim Kerrigan and Marcus were saying. These guys are very pragmatic guys, okay? These are mastermind members that I coach. I get their mindset. They're very pragmatic. They're looking for outcomes. The reality of life is those that keep moving forward, excuse-free, get more positive outcomes than the rest. And again, I get the law. And I'm not telling anybody to break law. Of course not. I would never do that. If you have concerns about the law, go read it. Go talk to an attorney. That's the right thing to do. Then make your own decision. Me, I'm plowing forward to help you. That's what I'm doing. If I know your disposition and I know you have a pain point and I'm a pro in that area, you're getting my help, period. You can tell me to go away, but I'm still going to give you that help whether you like it or not. So that's why I sell a lot of properties. I keep coming at you until it's a real no or I've helped you and you've calmed down. Because that's what I find. On the other side of noise is a lot of calm and intelligence. But you got to let everybody have. Yeah, Chris Kleber says I need a Red Bull. If I drank a Red Bull for one of these, Chris, I'm sure I'd probably come through the phone, right? So, all right, guys, look at good job. Please go out there and be aggressive to help people. That's the main goal here. But listen to them. And when you hear a pain point, you have two strategic plans you draw from. Hey, you know what? I've got a plan for that. Just think like that. 2 beats. What's your pain on the sell side? What's your pain on the buy side? I've got a plan for that. Let me tell you about it. That's your line that you interject after you've heard what their problem is. All right? Good work here today. Thanks to all who participated. See you on the other side. Have a good weekend. Lisa, thank you. You rock.
Jenny.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job. Thanks, everybody online, too.